one of the House Democrats raising concerns about all of this, Congressman Mike Levin of California. Congressman Levin, have you seen any evidence of insider trading from either members of Congress or President Trump's allies, instead of that just general advice that Trump gave for people to invest?
Well, Jake, it's good to be with you. And to the extent we have evidence, it's circumstantial right now. So we know that President Trump had a number of conversations with members of Congress and with members of his administration leading up to the decision to have the 90-day pause. And, for example, we know that there was a dinner the prior evening with Republican members of Congress and the president. We know that he spoke with a number of people on the day of the decision. And I think what we want to know is who traded both on the 8th and then pre-market on the 9th, leading up to that post on Truth Social at 9:37 a.m. And that would be of most interest to me. And then, of course, who traded between 9:37 and then 1:18 in the afternoon, last Wednesday afternoon, when the pause was announced. Because of the Stock Act, which is the law that governs all of this, we've got a very limited data set so far. A lot of that information will come out in 30 to 45 days. But a number of us are calling on Mike Johnson to have full transparency and accountability for all members to see what they traded between April 2nd and April 9th. And Jake, for me, it just reinforces the need to have a full ban on members of Congress trading stock at all. And I'm encouraged to see that Leader Jeffries and others are now fully behind the idea of that ban.
Yeah, that ban didn't happen when Democrats controlled the House and Senate. Why not?
Well, certainly it wasn't for lack of my trying. I've been calling for that straight through since I started running for Congress back in 2017. My wife and I divested any individual shares of stock and put them all in mutual funds. And look, I think there is bipartisan support for this. In fact, President Trump himself back in 2022 said he supported a stock trading ban. I think there's a great deal of momentum. We've got a bill now that has several Republicans in addition to many Democrats on board. And I think if a vote were allowed on the floor of the House, I think it would pass the House and would pass the Senate. We continue to build momentum behind it, and I'm hopeful that that vote will occur. If it can't occur in this Congress because Mike Johnson doesn't have the courage to do it, then hopefully it will happen if Democrats retake the House after next year.
It would be great, obviously, if voluntarily every House member disclosed their trades on the dates that you talked about, any trade transaction between April 2nd to April 9th. Are there Republicans that are curious as well?
There are, and there are roughly 15 who are behind our effort to try to have a stock trading ban and who have expressed concern, at least privately. It's amazing what they'll tell you privately, Jake, but I think at the end of the day, the existing law only goes so far because we'll see, like I said, between 30 and 45 days from now, which members traded, but we won't get a timestamp. So in other words, we'll see if they traded on the 8th or the 9th. We'll know what they traded with rough ranges, but we won't get that level of granularity. I know that my friend Adam Schiff has called for a similar investigation into what members of the administration may have done. And it's very simple. We should not be using our position, in which we often get access to material non-public information, to pad our pockets. We serve the people. We shouldn't be serving ourselves in that manner. It's fundamentally wrong. And a coalition of people across the political spectrum agree.
I asked you earlier why Democrats didn't do this when they controlled the House, and you said it wasn't for lack of your trying. Without naming any Democrats who were against it, can you give us at least any sort of vague idea as to why you didn't do it, Democrats didn't do it when you controlled the House?
Jake, I think that there are politicians of both parties that for too long have profited off the rules as they are. That's why it's very tough for us to enact campaign finance reform in the wake of the Citizens United decision. It's why it's very tough for members like myself who don't take any corporate PAC contributions. We're at a disadvantage often. And when the system is working for incumbents, it's very difficult for those incumbents to want to challenge that very system. And look, I know that there's a certain degree of cynicism here, but I think this is so critically important and is so resonant with people across the political spectrum. When I speak to my constituents, I just had a town hall packed with people, and when I brought up the need for members of Congress to not trade individual shares of stock That was probably one of the biggest applause lines that I got, and there were a lot of Republicans in attendance.
Yeah, I don't know that it's cynicism if it's true. Democratic Congressman Mike Levin of California, thank you so much, sir. Appreciate it.